You do not change your life only by changing what you do. You change your life by changing the lens through which you see yourself, because that lens shapes what you believe is possible, what you expect, what you tolerate, what you pursue, and what you allow yourself to receive, and the reality that you keep participating in. So if you see yourself as behind, you create from behind. If you see yourself as someone who is always struggling, you create from struggle. If you see yourself as someone who is not quite ready, not quite healed, not quite confident enough, you keep postponing the life that you say you want. And changing that lens is not as simple as just think differently. It is a science and an art. It is psychology and energy. It is feeling and action, belief and embodiment, inner authority, and quantum possibility, because you are not here to keep perceiving yourself through old programs, old evidence, old emotional patterns. You are here to consciously decide, who am I? Who am I now? What do I believe now? Who do I want to be, to do, to have, to experience, and what becomes possible when you stop seeing yourself through a lens that you have already outgrown. Welcome, welcome, beautiful souls, to Infinite You. I am Dr. Sheri, spiritual psychologist, multidimensional mindset mentor, and human potential catalyst. And here on Infinite You, I help you understand yourself more deeply, align with who you truly are, multidimensionally, body, mind, and soul. The truth is in your soul, the essence of who you are in your soul, so you can feel really good, coherent, and consciously create your life from the inside out with a little bit of psychology, energy, science, biology, the whole bit. It is not one thing, it is multi layered, it is definitely nuanced, and it is definitely why we humans are here. And today we are going to be talking about one of the most important shifts in transformation and conscious creation that you can make, changing the way you see yourself. Because you can work harder, you can set bigger goals, you can make the vision board, you can journal, you can do all the affirmations, you can try to be more disciplined, you can consume all of the self development, self help content in the world. But if you are still perceiving yourself through an outdated identity or a view of reality shaped by what has already happened, or that you are in chronic fixing mode, you will keep recreating from that lens. So today, I want to talk about how that perception changes, not through force, not through pretending, not through affirmations. Your body and energy do not believe, but through, like I said, psychology, emotion, energy, science, choice, soul knowing, and conscious creation. But before we dive in, I would love for you to subscribe to Infinite You and be a part of this growing community and this deep, practical, multidimensional conversation. If it resonates with you, please hit subscribe, hit like if the video resonates with you, and share this video with someone who may need to move into that space of shifting, of stop trying to fix herself and begin seeing herself through a truer lens with a capital T. Now let's dive right in. Remember that your self perception is creative. The way that you see yourself is not a passive opinion, it is creative. Like I said, it affects what feels available, what feels too far away, inconceivable, what you are willing to ask for, how you interpret setbacks, how you respond to opportunity, how you respond to challenges, whether desire feels exciting or irresponsible, whether visibility feels expansive or unsafe. And I just made a whole video about the brain's role in all of this too, right? Because it's biology as well as all of this other stuff. Your self perception becomes a filter through which possibility enters your life. And if that filter is shaped by old pain, social conditioning, a past version of you who had to adapt to survive, then you may still be living as though those conditions are the truth of who you are. And it's bigger than that, too, right? Like how we perceive our emotions as something we have to feel and like lean into and feel consumed by, or are emotions a tool for us to be in tune with our body and make a different choice through a different lens? I'm always going to be talking about multidimensionality, 3D, 4D, 5D, body, mind, soul, because once we integrate that, things really, really do begin to shift. I made a whole video about multidimensionality, but back to current programming. Remember, you may say to yourself, I want more, but underneath the lens is saying, people like me don't have that, or I need to be more impressive first. I need to fix this part of myself first. And then life will reflect not only the desire, but the perception, the vibration, the feeling, the identity from which the desire is being held. Because you do not create only from what you want, you create from who you believe yourself to be in relationship to what you want. And so for years, I talked about inner game, and I kind of moved away from inner game because I'm not an athlete. Like, I've never been a jock. And even though I love inner game and I love watching, you know, especially like the Netflix things with like the golfing, following golfing and all that stuff. And I love that as a cognitive psychologist for sure. Like, it definitely lights me up. But I think inner game feels a little masculine, and I think that it definitely matters, your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotional patterns, your self-talk, the meaning that you assign to experiences. But I think over time and after getting certified in human design, my language definitely evolved more into inner authority, because I think it really does go deeper and it feels a little more feminine to me. And so inner authority really says, I know how to return to the truth of who I am. I can discern what is mine and what is conditioning. I can feel the difference between fear and alignment. I can choose from the deeper truth instead of letting old programming narrate my life. To me, inner game feels really mental, and I think inner authority feels much more integrated. I hope that that makes sense. But anyway, I think inner authority matters because the world will constantly invite you to define yourself through numbers, whatever you're seeing in your bank account, the delay, the comparison, the rejection, the current circumstance, bumping heads with someone, trouble in, an area of your life. But inner authority will tell you that that may be information for sure, but it is not my identity. And that is where a new lens, a new perception begins. If you ask, how do I change the way I see myself? The answer is not one dimensional. It is science, because repetition actually will shape the brain, neural pathways, the ganglia. In cognitive psychology, it is your cognitive schema. And so what you repeatedly think, emotionally rehearse, and expect becomes familiar. What you repeatedly think, emotionally rehearse, and what you expect becomes familiar. It is neurotransmitters, it is the biochemistry of the brain. Neural pathways strengthen, cognitive schema form, your system gets efficient at confirming what it has learned to recognize. So if you have seen yourself for years as the one who must overgive, prove, hide, fix, struggle, that perception may return automatically, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And those neural pathways get really, and the biochemistry gets really, really addictive. Joe Dispenza talks about this at great length. So, we glom onto, we are attracted to the biochemistry of the patterns that we keep creating over and over again. We go there, we return there, but you can break it. So, this whole idea of inner authority is a science, but it is also an art. And I just made a really beautiful video about, our consciousness as human beings and how we are a part of God's mind. And God made the quantum field as a tool for us to create our reality. So, how is inner authority in art? Because you are not a machine to be reprogrammed with a few inputs. You are a living, feeling, breathing, intuitive, energetic being. You learn to feel when an old belief no longer resonates. You notice what expands you and what contracts you. You know this already. It is so deeply hardwired into our design as human beings. You sense the difference between a truth that comes from your essence and your soul and a story that came from fear, from old programs, from conditioning. You know the difference between a story that you've been told and a story you're writing for yourself. And you begin seeing yourself differently before the outer world confirms it. What you want to experience and be and do and have starts in energy. It starts in the divine feminine. It begins there. It rolls around. It is shaping things that are unseen, right? That is conscious creation. Remember that 3D, this physical reality, your physical body is the playground. 4D is the lab, what's going on in your subconscious. So I'm going to back up. I just made a whole video I talk about it all the time anyhow. And I'm operationalizing it the way that I do. So I'm just putting that out there. 3D is your conscious mind, your physical reality, your physical body. And I want to say this in a very weird, different way, and it might be tangential. Your body is always connected to 5D. Your cells are God-given, God-designed, energetic. Your cells know so much about who you are. So always remember that even though you are in 3D and physical reality with your body, it is your body is your temple. And I mean that in the most direct way, right? So 3D, however, going back to where I was, as your physical reality, it is your playground, your body, your relationships, your work, your money, your actions, your choices. This is where your life takes form. And in 4D, your subconscious mind, your beliefs, your inner world, your emotions, your stories, your programs, your paradigms, your identity, the meaning you ascribe to things. This is where you observe what is active and experiment with a new way of seeing, of being. And 5D is the source, the soul knowing, your superconscious mind, God, consciousness, the quantum field, infinite possibility. Everything at this level is all about infinite possibility, both from art and science. This is the part of you that knows possibility exists before you can see it. And you are here to let these layers work together. Manifesting in conscious creation can be somewhat formulaic. I think it's way more nuanced because humans are nuanced. So you are here to let these layers work together, to integrate them. Let soul inform perception. Let perception reshape choice. Let choice create new evidence in the physical world. So 5D soul information, 4D perception is everything. Inner game, inner authority, how you are interpreting your reality and who you are in it, and then filtering that down to the conscious mind so your choice can create new evidence in the physical world. So, how do you change the way you see yourself? Number one, notice the lens you are looking through. You cannot shift a lens you have not noticed. So ask, what have I been assuming is true about me in the area where you want to change? Money, love, purpose, visibility, health, creativity, relationships. What identity has quietly been leading? And another video I just made, I talked about there are areas in our lives where things kind of flow and we're not even thinking about them, right? And then other areas are a little bit more of a perceived struggle or a problem or challenge. So, in what areas do you want to change? What identity has been quietly leading? It might be something like, I am always behind. I always have to work harder. Nothing comes easy for me. I am not naturally confident. People do not choose me. I want more, but I don't know if I can have it. I think that it's too late. So these thoughts might feel like observations, but many times they are lenses. And once you see that, then you can say, this is a perception I have been creating from. It is not the truth of who I am. At the soul level, at the highest level, we are always connected. We are always expanding. We are always creating, right? We came here to create. Remember, 3D is the playground. 4D is the lab. So what's going on in here? What thoughts, identities, beliefs can you experiment with, right? So let contrast and emotion show you what is active. Remember that contrast is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it reveals things that no longer fit, things that no longer resonate, the belief that might feel too small now, the belief that is doesn't work for you at all and was defining you in a way that you weren't even aware of. Right? This identity no longer matches who I am becoming. You get to flip a switch on a dime, right? I understand that humans are complicated and we can work through things and analyze things and, stay in our minds and thinking and thinking and thinking and ruminating and ruminating and ruminating. But in a heartbeat, you can decide, nope, not working for me anymore. I'm going to go here now and believe this. And we know that we can do that because the truth of our soul will tell us that and it will resonate and feel really freaking good. Remember that emotions can help you see where something has a charge to it, right? A frequency to it. They show you, your emotions show you what matters, what feels aligned or misaligned, where a belief may be active, where a desire may be asking to be acknowledged. We know the feeling. We know the feeling of the pit in our stomach. We know the feeling of a hell yes. We human beings are so tuned in. Our bodies are so tuned in. This goes back to 3D and 5D, really working in concert with one another. And then, in 4D in the lab, we've got all these experiments going on, these mind games going on. And we, at the end of the day, ultimately, we get to decide. I know that there are things that sometimes we have to work through from childhood, from trauma, from having a broken heart, for losing someone we love, from starting over again. I understand all of that is very, very real. I'm not saying dismiss that. I'm saying be conscious about what you pick and choose that you think that you may need to take a deeper dive into and what you can shift on a dime. So if you say you want to be visible and fear rises, that emotion is not automatically proof you should stop. It may be revealing that visibility has been linked with danger or judgment or pressure. It may be not just in your mind and your thoughts in 4D, your biology might be telling you that, right? Because we humans are wired, like at our most basic biologic level, to stay safe so we can reproduce and continue the species, right? That's really what's going on in survival mechanism world. So remember, the goal is not to be ruled by emotion. The goal is to listen intelligently and ask, what is this feeling revealing for me? What belief might be underneath it? Does that belief feel true to my essence or familiar from an older version of me? We humans get to be dynamic and shift and grow and change all the time. So feel into what is more true for you. Changing your lens is not about forcing a shinier affirmation. It's about finding what feels more true. Maybe not, I'm completely fearless, right? But I can move with fear without making it my identity. We don't have to live in fear and carry it with us. So you might say, everything is easy for me, but deep down, you might be feeling, I am willing to stop assuming struggle is my only way. So you might be thinking everything is easy for me, or you might not want to go there. I should say it that way. I have to apologize to you because I've got corgis running around in the background and they are definitely distracting me. I'm going to go back. You might not want to say, unless you believe it, everything is easy for me. But you could say, I am willing to stop assuming struggle is the only way. So you might not be able to say, I already believe I can have everything I want. But what if you could say, part of me knows I am meant for more and I am ready to stop dismissing that knowing? The new lens should feel truer, more resonant, higher frequency, more expansive, more aligned with who you are becoming, more of a hell yeah, and less of a pulling back, retracting, contracting feeling, resistant feeling. That is the bridge between psychology and energy and your emotions and 4D and a little bit of that biologic evolutionary part of who we are in our brains, right? So I'm very aware of that as well. Um, I'm not sure if there are people that are out there that just have no fear. Like, I'm not that girl, but I'm sure, like, Bear Grylls or that guy's name, I'm sure he's doing that. Anyhow, that's the bridge between psychology and energy and biology. The thought matters, but so does how it feels in your system. At the deepest level, you are not choosing your next identity from a closed world. You are choosing in a universe of possibility. The quantum field, to me, is the part of deep intelligence of creation itself. I say this a lot. I believe that God created the quantum field as a tool for us humans to create our physical reality. It is a field of potential through which form and experience unfold. And you are not separate from that field. You are very much entangled in it, really. Your consciousness matters, your attention matters, your feeling matters, your choice matters. You get to ask, who am I now? What am I willing to believe now? What possibility am I available for now? What do I want to be, do, have, and experience? You are allowed to decide before the external world has fully confirmed it, because what you're seeing right now in your physical reality is already in the past, right? Everything that you can conceive is happening energetically in the quantum field. You're bringing it into reality, literally collapsing waves into particles. And so I think I want to say that manifestation can happen in an instant, but I do want to say that I have come to believe it's multi layered. If it were that easy or instantaneous for each and every one of us, we would be all doing it right now. I think the energy and the expansion of our collective consciousness is going to make it easier over time. So remember that, hold that thought, carry that belief. I think that it is true. I can feel it. I just can feel that things are moving in that direction. So you are allowed to decide before the external world has fully confirmed it. Everything you want to create begins as a possibility, as energy, as inspiration, as a soul whisper, as God talking to you. You are one with God's mind long before any of this becomes visible. And your next chapter will begin there too, right now. So it's time to embody the new lens through action. A new self perception becomes real as you begin living from it, not perfectly, but tangibly. If you are becoming the woman who trusts her voice, who is aligned with soul, who speaks before you before you feel completely ready, If you are becoming the woman who receives, you notice where you have been deflecting support. Remember, the divine feminine is an energy, a feeling, a vibration of receiving, right? So that masculine energy is action oriented, giving. Feminine energy is being and receiving. If you are becoming the woman who creates from alignment, you stop making every decision from urgency. It's okay to chill out. It's okay to trust the universe. It's okay to just decompress and let life happen for you. Action grounds perception. Action tells 3D. I am willing to meet the version of reality I say I am choosing. You try, you move, you decide, you choose, you create new evidence. You not to prove your worth, to embody your becoming. So let's say you want to share your work more publicly, but your lens is saying, I'm not ready. People will judge me. Other people are more qualified. So in 3D, you delay. In 4D, the lab reveals a belief about being judged, an emotion of fear, not being ready, an identity of I'm safer if I stay invisible. I need to fix one more thing. And in 5D, a deeper knowing reminds you your voice matters, your purpose matters, your calling matters, your desire to share is not random. Visibility can be in service of the truth. The shift is not, I never feel fear again. The shift is, I see the old lens, I understand what it has been protecting, I choose a truer perception, I allow myself to create from the woman whose voice is a part of her path. And then you post the video, and then you send the email, and you say yes to the invitation. That is how a changed lens begins changing a life, right? We're not sitting around meditating all the time. We're integrating being and doing all the time. That beautiful Zen flow, masculine and feminine energy integrated, working together. This is why it matters for conscious creation. You do not change your life until you change the way you see yourself, because your life is not only shaped by your goals, it's shaped by the self who is relating to those goals. So you can see yourself through limitation, and then that dream feels like pressure. You can see yourself through old pain, and the opportunity becomes a threat. You can see yourself through lack, and then receiving becomes unfamiliar to you. So when you shift your lens, you begin to shift your reality and it feels different. So you hear your intuition more clearly. You stop turning every delay into a verdict. You make choices with a different energetic signature and inner authority. You become more available for the life you once thought that you had to earn. This is conscious creation. So I just want to leave you with a few questions. In what area where in the area where you want change, how have you been seeing yourself? What current belief or identity feels familiar but not fully true for you? What feeling or contrast is showing you that something is ready to shift? What feels more true? And I think I'm going to put these questions in the description box. What feels more true, more aligned, and more expansive than the old lens? If you saw yourself through a truer lens at the soul level, what would you begin choosing differently? So sit with those. I will put them in the description box below so you can read them and think about them. So this is just the beginning of a conversation so you can begin to expand at your next level. We're all in a different place. We all know that. Just remember, beautiful souls, that you do not need to spend your life trying to force a new reality through an old self-perception. You are allowed to see yourself differently. You are allowed to question the lens you inherited. You are allowed to decide that the old story is no longer the truth you will create from and identify with. You are allowed to use your mind consciously, to listen to your emotions intelligently, to trust your energy, to return to your inner authority, to open the field of possibility that God designed for creation of itself, right? So remember, 3D is the playground, 4D is the lab, 5D is the source, and you are here to bring them together, to integrate, because you do not change your life only by doing more. You change your life by seeing yourself more truthfully, more honestly, more authentically. And from that truth, you create differently. I will see you all next time, beautiful souls. I will put links in the description box below for to join my free newsletter, to click for a human design session. I would love to work with you. As soon as I get my quantum identity playbook, I will put the link in there for that. And I think I mentioned this in my last video. I think I will create a PDF so you can see like the areas of your life that are already working really beautifully and working well for you, and the areas where you can highlight, old beliefs and patterns and expectations and the lens that no longer works for you. So go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, comment for sure if you are so inclined, and definitely share this video with someone who may benefit from it. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all next time in the field in the next video. Have a beautiful morning, day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all next time. Namaste.